David Webb, radio talk show host and Tea Party activist, joining us. And on set, Matt McCall, Penn Financial Group president, and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. All right, let's talk about this. Leslie, I'm going to start off with you, all right, because, you know, listen, you heard our arguments. You know, I doubt that you and Senator Santorum agree on much, but you probably agree with him and even my little monologue at the top.
I do, Brian, and I get far more hate mail than you do, so it'll be okay. Just trust me, just delete them. But I have to tell you, this is a situation where we begrudgingly do what's going to hurt a little bit now, what will hurt far more later if we don't do it. When you talk about politics, unfortunately, the Tea Party candidates that have been elected and are the freshmen in the Congress are in a very precarious position. Because they need to show are they going to be responsible to the American people, but also are they going to be hypocritical to their word. Their word was they would not vote for something like this. Yeah. And that does fragment the GOP, and it does not shed any tears for me, a Democrat. But at the end of the day, this is something that Democrats and Republicans in the past have not been in favor of, and currently. But it is something, it's a necessary evil, so to speak, to ward off a larger evil economically down the road. Yeah, a couple rules when I anchor this show. Ladies always go first as guests, and also there's no holds in the buy-sell hold later on. So there's only buy or sell. We got to take positions. All right, David, let's get to it. You can lambaste me now.
Well, I am going to do it a little bit. I am going to do it a little bit, but here's where the reality is. Yeah, we're probably going to have to raise it, but I say starve the beast first. And to the senator's point about $50 billion in savings, not enough. In fraud and waste alone in Medicare, there's $60 billion a year. We need to actually have comparable cuts immediately, not down the road, if we're going to even consider raising the debt ceiling. It's time to starve the beast that is the federal government, to cut it. And for the Republicans, if you're going to be serious about this, then we need to see over the next 2 to 3 years a real working path to a 25% reduction in the deficit. We have got to get into the business of lowering that future debt.
10,000 people a day are turning 65 years old.
But here's the reality. Look, let me give you some of the bad news.
That wasn't the bad news?
That wasn't the bad news. The only way to cut government is to cut size, which means people, which means bureaucracies, which means cleaning up a lot of this bidding and contracting and defense. And if we don't start doing it and swallow the bitter pill, we don't benefit in the long run.
Matt, chime in here. You're the finance guy.
We have to raise the debt ceiling. There's no question about that. I mean, just look at what happened to the stock market and how many trillions of dollars basically were lost when the stock market got crushed with fears over Europe. Imagine if the U.S. defaults. I mean, it's not going to be, you know, the interest rates will go up, right? That's going to be catastrophic. That's going to crush the stock market.
That's my point. If the credit rating is cut,
this is catastrophic to the entire world
economy. We're going to be paying billions more in interest.
Right. I get all that, but the problem is the bipartisanship in Washington has been to bankrupt this country on both sides, and we have got to start swallowing the bitter pill.
Let the senator give. I thought we were going to have a little more heat. Everybody seems to agree, Senator. What's the problem in D.C. then?
We were very persuasive. No, look, I agree with you know, David. Look, this is a problem that is as a result of excess in Washington on both sides of the aisle. And I said at least $50 billion. I didn't say $50 billion. I said Ryan suggested 50. I said at least $50 billion. And I also suggested that they do some. I'm not saying they reform Social Security on this bill. Obviously, that's a very complex and long. But there are some entitlement reforms. You mentioned Medicare waste. There's some things that they can do, narrow, targeted things to at least show our creditors out there that we're serious about deficit reduction, not just discretionary spending, but entitlement spending.
Senator, we're going to leave it there. Senator Rick Santorum, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. We got all the panelists, I'm sure, are coming back here, so I won't say my goodbyes because there is no goodbye on this show. It just goes into the next segment. The president infuriating the right, and he's also making the left angry. That story tops tonight's 2-minute drill. Our all-American panel has returned. David Webb, radio talk show host, Matt McCall, Penn Financial Group president, and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. Let us start the clock. First up, liberals and conservatives alike seem to agree on at least one thing, that J.P. Morgan executive Bill Daley is a bad choice for Obama's new chief of staff. Liberal blogs like The Public Citizen blasting the president for, quote, selecting a person who comes from the very Wall Street that wrecked our economy, while conservative bloggers say the Daily pick shows the president remains, quote, indebted to the worst kind of favor trading fat cats. Panel, let's score daily. Leslie, let's start off with you. Apparently, nobody likes fat cats. What do you have against cats?
I love cats, but I think this guy's a bit too bombastic. I would like somebody more away from the personality type of Rahm Emanuel. I just don't think this kind of personality is suited for the position. And I have to say, anybody from Wall Street is certainly looked at as being a demon, because certainly Wall Street has helped to demonize in America's eyes the economy and has continued to break our backs, both left and right, obviously, signing a TARP, signing that bailout. So I don't think it's a good choice. And I know that people on the left and the right are angry, and rightly so. I'm one of them.
Matt, the president moves to the center on this pick, and he's killed by the right. I mean, what? Is anybody ever going to be happy about anything?
No, they're not.
The president does.
People love to complain, especially about the president of the United States. I actually think this is a very good pick. I mean, sure, the mass public out there is not a big fan of Wall Street. They say they ruined the economy and they're the cause of everything.
He was in the Clinton administration, and everybody always touts how great the economy was. Then why are people lambasting this?
You realize Wall Street built this economy to what it was over the last 20 years before we had a bit of a hiccup. This is just part of the natural cycle. So I think it's a great pick, and I think Wall Street likes it as well.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The progressives, they don't hate big business. They just want to control it and take all the capital in. So they're going to argue about this guy. He's got a commerce background. Look, I don't like seeing Chicago politics any more than anyone. But the Dailies have been knocking on the door of the White House. They want in. They're in. And is he going to be a good pick or not? We'll see if the Chamber of Commerce is right.
Time and the jobs number will tell. I always get sad when I see that. Round two, another Wall Street story, raising questions about the Federal Reserve's so-called blackout periods. This is basically around the time that important Federal Reserve meetings happen, right? The Fed muzzles its members during this time. The New York Post, though, reporting that New York Fed President Bill Dudley has a long history of meeting with top dogs on Wall Street during these blackout periods. David Webb, is there anything wrong with that?
Of course, and there's no pillow talk between Hillary and Bill Clinton at all about this is pretty much what it is. It's always happened. It's going to happen no matter what you want to do. There's going to be some collusion. I just want these guys to be honest the way they practice their business. We don't control the rest.
Matt.
I think it's a great practice, to be honest with you, because why not be down at Wall Street, which is a financial center of this world, asking them what they think right now?
Because Wall Street banks force people to buy homes at 10 times their income. You know that, Matt.
Oh, yes, and they force TARP. But please know my sarcasm. Them, right? I mean, come on. Wall Street helps build this country. It's the backbone of capitalism. They need to be there to find out what's really going on in our economy.
Blackout period, though, is the topic, Leslie, but I figure you might just bash Wall Street. Go ahead.
Well, it's not about bashing Wall Street. I think it comes down to semantics. Speeches, lunches, conversations, even pillow talk. It's going to happen, and I think we've got enough on our plate not to be worried about that, because it's going to happen.
A little sweet nothing about where interest rates are going in your ear over a glass of wine?
Hey, it's not sexy to me, but for you money guys, I hear it's a swing factor.
Nothing turns me on like when someone says 25 basis points over LIBOR. Oh, see, I'm just, right now, I can't even talk about it. All right, let's go to topic three, the first order of business for the 112th Congress today. Reading the Constitution on the floor. Members from both parties, well, most of them, reading snippets of the founding document of our union. Matt McCall, will this be the last bipartisan act of the 112th Congress?
Unfortunately, I think it will.
2 days in.
I think it will be the last. And I actually back this. Some of these politicians forget what the Congress, or what the Constitution is. You maybe kind of need to read this and get it back in their brain. And it's much better than, going against Mark McGuire for steroids for 6 days and going over that. So I think it's actually a good use of time, to believe it or not. Unfortunately, it's the last time they're going to be singing Kumbaya together. It's over after this.
Leslie, what do you make of it? Some Democrats didn't show, right?
I like the kumbaya and the holding hands. Let me tell you something, all right? I love the Constitution. First Amendment, that's what I do for a living. And it's wonderful. Got a copy on my desk. You can get it online. The American people didn't vote, left or right, for these people to stand there and read the Constitution. Although it was a brilliant show, I'm tired of the show. Get down to business. And obviously it became a show with outbursts, etc. I don't agree with Matt. I don't think it was a good use of time. It's a wonderful, brilliant document. Americans need to read it for themselves. We don't need to hear our congressional members like actors or pastors in the pulpit reading it on the floor.
Yeah, I was with Leslie all the way up to the First Amendment. Then after that, you got the usual. Look, it's about time that the legal DNA for our country was read in Congress. They need to prove their points. They need to say this is constitutionally what we're doing. And it's important that the American people get engaged. I'm one of those Tea Party guys. I wanted them to do it. I helped force them to do it. And frankly, the Tea Party should be proud.
They should have hired that golden-voiced homeless guy that could have added one job to the payroll number, and it would have sounded better.
Yeah. And by the way, how about some of these Democrats showing their real colors, like Steve Israel and Gerald Nadler, the Phil Hares of the world? No, thank you. He's not there. Yeah, I don't pay attention to the Constitution. Yeah, right.
All right, on deck. Guess what they're doing with all that for local? Time for buy, sell, hold. We take the names and stories in the news and treat them like they're stocks. Would you buy them? Would you sell them? Because remember, when I sit here, there is no hold. Take a stand. We're not a nation of wusses or wussies. The residents of a Pennsylvania town, speaking of, are outraged, barking mad, in fact, because of cuts their police department. The borough of Jefferson Hills fired Fritz, a 5-year-old police dog. Although Fritz is trained to sniff out drugs, guns, and fugitives, officials say the canine program not cost-effective. More than 75 attended a council meeting to protest. 13 grand has been raised in donations. Firing Fritz, the police dog, buy or sell? Leslie, first to you.
Sell, because I love doggies. Doggies are not only man's but women's best friend, and I bet you he was a great employee and didn't talk back. So I think we should have kept the dog Fritz. Shame on them for firing the dog.
I don't think they're putting him down or anything.
They're going to get him a nice pool and a nice pen somewhere. Look, I got it, okay. It's cost effective. How much can they have in that town? Let the cops do their jobs. I say buy it.
Buying of the firing of Fritz.
Yep.
Peter's on the phone.
I completely buy. I don't understand pets. I don't understand the whole thing of having dogs, having cats. Sure, he sniffs out something, but at the end of the day, this could be another person's job. The amount of money they spend to keep this dog happy.
I was going to say buy, but just because you said that, and I have 2 dogs and would have more if, like, my neighbors wouldn't sue me, I'm going to sell that.
Selling me,
McCall.
right?
Selling McCall. At home, you also sell. Look, we're a nation of dog lovers, right? Man's best friend, unlike McCall. The sexual harassment lawsuit filed against Brett Favre and the Jets by 2 massage therapists has received the animation treatment in Taiwan. That animation posted online includes all the nasty details, including the sexting, and some things that we cannot show you on this very fine family program. The video ends with Favre, who is a 3-time NFL MVP, being named most vilified pervert. Brett Favre, the animated Taiwanese version, buy, sell, or hold. David.
You know, you've got a football player, a massage therapist. I buy it. I'd buy it any day. Something was going to happen. Sexton, come on, Brett, you're not 16.
Oh, this is such a buy. I mean, I will watch this video over. Actually, I did watch the video over and over.
Leslie.
I'm going to buy it because, guys, when you're looking at our butts and drooling when we look back, that's how you look to us. So I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it totally.
I'm going to buy it as well. What do the people at home say? They buy it. Those things are hilarious. I mean, they're hilarious. They take a little liberties with the whatever. But New Jersey Governor Chris Christie looking for any possible way to close the state's budget gap, signing into law a bill that would allow school districts to sell approved ads on school buses. That's what it would look like. Matt McCall.
This is a buy. Capitalism. Get money any way you legally can.
David.
I'm going with a sell because first fix the school budget issues, then you don't need to buy them.
Leslie.
I'm going to sell. They're doing it here in California. What are we doing to our kids and their minds? This is sensationalistic and not necessary. Fix the education system.
Sell, because you know the next first thing going up there is buy the Happy Meal, right? McDonald's. People at home, they say buy it. All right, the reading of the Constitution, a buy or a sell. First to the panel. Leslie.
I already said sell. Yeah, I don't think it was the proper way to use
it's a buy. I think we need to do that.
I'm an American. It's a buy. Come on. This is a buy.
Buy it. Didn't take that much time. They're banning Four Loko. Buy the Constitution. 98% of loyal Scoreboard viewers voted buy, one sell, one hold. Who holds?
Who holds?
I mean, come on.
On the Constitution.
Ron, I'm not that liberal. One of the